Well, happy to be playing this game, obviously, and happy to be seeing you all. Hopefully doing it again next week. With that, I'll just open it up. We just got done with a walkthrough practice yesterday. We're up and rolling and excited to play in the game.
Coach, with the last 3 times that you've played, what is the coaching staff, what have you all taken away from those losses that you hope to turn around?
Yeah, that we need to do a lot better. You know, the one thing that stuck out, because it's a team game, I put up a sheet the other day of the drives that they had against us the last time we played them, and their 9 and their 10 play and their 11 play, and that means that our quarterback doesn't have the football. And so somehow, some way, we got to make sure the drives are shorter and we can get the ball back. So I'm talking about, you know, time of possessions, right? That's got to change, and it all begins with the run game. We've talked a lot about that. These guys are great at throwing the football, but we're going to respect the run game and make sure we don't neglect it.
And I know it's easier said than done, but the other thing we've talked about is getting after Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Chris Jones and Frank Clark, in those games against the Bengals, they haven't been able to bring them down.
Yeah. It's been the finishing part of it, right? We've talked a lot about that, certain schemes we have for certain pass rushes. We're going to try to do it all. This guy's elite at everything that he does. It's not just throwing the football. It's throwing it to the right spots. It's making the right decisions. It's getting out of trouble when he's rushed by some good pass rushers. You got to find a way to be a little bit under control because he's nifty. What you're saying is exactly true.
You said the finishing part. I mean, is it with him and your guy as well? I mean, I'll bet you a lot of defensive coordinators say the same thing about Patrick.
Yeah.
They're there, they're getting hands on him, and he's still able to deliver the football. I mean, is that kind of just the mark of the great ones? They unload early, they'll take it to the...
Yeah, when you watch him, he just is, the word I come up is nifty. He never panics in the pocket. It feels like he's got like 6 eyeballs around his head, right? No, seriously. You know, we watched him last night, Joe and I were watching him, and there's a rusher coming in, looks like he's going to get him, and Joe didn't do very much, but he made a move, never lost balance, took a couple of steps, threw the ball downfield. Yeah, he's elite. You got to be more under control is the only thing I could say. We've worked on that, and yet if you try to rush controlled too much, you never get there, right? But it's both ways. We got to cover really good on the back end to give our pass rushers time, and then we got to find a way to finish them. Getting more guys there. I mean, you want to get as many guys there as you can, right? It's hard for one guy.
You compare Joe to a young Tom Brady in the past, and
Yeah.
you're one of the guys who, in a big spot, been able to wrap.
Yeah.
How much do you turn to some of that stuff as you look toward this matchup?
Yeah, I do think he's elite like that. It's been a while, but it feels like Joe has more weapons. And I know Tom had a lot of weapons at certain times when he was there in New England. You know, it's hard to compare a quarterback to the best there ever was, but he certainly looks like he's on his way to that. We got so much respect for this quarterback and what he does, and we're going to try to find a way to slow him down if we can. Yeah. Yeah, usually it's, you know, can you attack a protection and get somebody free? That's what we're always trying to do. And if you can do that, you can throw the timing off. If you can't do that or they're going to get it blocked up, then you got to be able to cover a little bit. And we know what they have on the outside. So like we've always done with every team, we'll pick our spots. I don't think we're going to go completely away from it. But we got to be careful because we know what he and his 3 running mates can do if they do protect it. And they have found ways to protect it. He'll see it, get guys in there, and we got to understand that.
And you say that because when you look at Jamar Chase, and I know he's been someone that's caused you all problems, somehow, some way, they find a way to get him open where he seems to be wide open, you know, against your play calling. Have you all figured out, looked at on tape, and do you still plan on going, I guess, you know, man up against him with Legarius, or do you plan on?
I'm not going down the scheme thing here. I'm not doing that. We're going to mix it up. Yeah, it was later in the game, right? Just something that we typically do, and the guys executed it well. I mean, there are times we've run those or called them. We don't execute them quite as well, or they turn protection and get it picked up. At that particular time, we got it, and they got the quarterback off timing, threw it up, and we got a pick. It was a nice play by Jalen. It really was.
Coach, just a question about you compared compared Burrow a little bit to Brady, but how do you compare him to Patrick? I mean, this is like a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
Not necessarily about one being more mobile, but maybe with their grit, competitiveness, the way they read defenses, that kind of stuff. How do you
Yeah,
compare
they're both the same. You just hit them. I mean, all those qualities you'd want in a quarterback, right? And a guy that finds a way to win. Both these guys do that. I don't think anything bothers either one of these quarterbacks. I really don't. I mean, you can say, I mean, listen, defensive football, you say hit the quarterback, hit the quarterback, hit the quarterback, and eventually, you know, they get happy feet or, you know, they don't. These two guys don't do that. They just line up and play the next play. That's the most amazing thing to me about both the quarterbacks.
Coach, Chris Jones, he acknowledged that he hadn't, you know, that
Can you say it again, sir?
Chris Jones doesn't have a playoff sack. You know, that got brought, you know, it's such,
Yeah.
it's obviously somewhat a statistical anomaly, right?
Yeah.
It's been so good for so long, but he acknowledged it last week going into the Jacksonville game. Do you notice it? Is it a thing? Does he push?
I was surprised when you just said that. It kind of shocked me. Now I do remember, like we were talking about here, there was a couple, and he has recognized it last year that we missed a couple. He's aware of it. Now I will say this: even when Chris is not getting sacks, you know he's helping with either a middle push or making the quarterback step up. Somebody, but when he does that, we need somebody else to finish him off.
When, the last game against them, there were several times where you probably could have had the tackle, didn't quite get it, they barely got first downs. How do you practice that?
Yeah.
You don't have contact.
I know the plays you're talking about. Yeah, because they're right there, right? It's a 3rd and 5, and they get 5.5. But he's smart that way. Look, he knows to keep the chains moving, how to do it, what pass routes he's got going, and the concepts, and what we're in, and where to go with the football. I think where you were going was you can't really practice tackling now. But I was this morning talking about in our practices here against the scout team, making sure that we're challenging completions or be at the confrontational point. You know, and let's just not let scout team guys catch it and tag off. I mean, we want to be a little bit more aggressive in that because of who we're playing and to the point you're making.
We keep following this Brady comparison with Burrow, but like the similarity that I see kind of is how they just methodically take what's there.
Yeah.
They're always in control. You can't rattle them. How do you keep your guys disciplined in that sense, right? When it keeps happening and that they don't take an unnecessary risk and play something out of position.
The word, James, you just said about the discipline's the first thing. And I think more than anything, when you're facing a quarterback like this, it's your eyes. It's when the eyes get undisciplined, in my opinion, that we end up having a problem. If guys play with good eyes and challenge, like we're talking about, and our D-line can give them a little bit of pressure and make them move around, then we have better downs. Now, can you do that every down or win every down against this guy? You're not going to do that. And so when you were talking about the methodical, you know, we've talked a lot about let's make sure we don't give explosive plays because we know what that looks like. That was up there 2 years ago, right? And if they do that, let's just keep lining up, play the next play, hoping that the next play will be one that will turn it around for us. But that's what you got to do. And you know, we got to be able to play better in the red zone, or it's going to be really hard.
Coach, you mentioned that game a couple of years ago when they just won. You had coverage and they just
Yeah.
won the ball. Do you feel like you guys are better positioned, better talent to be able to handle them?
Well, I'm not going to go that far because I'd be insulting the guys that we had before, and I love those guys that we had. I mean, our young guys are growing. Hopefully, we've grown enough that we can match what they're going to put out there. This is an elite group we're going against. We've got to have an elite game. We've got to play our best game of the year for our team to have a chance. But we're excited about the challenge. I mean, there isn't one guy in there in the defensive locker room that isn't excited to do it. And we have played them before, so we know them a little bit, and we certainly know what they're capable of. And again, I go back to they're so explosive, and when you let them get those 1, 2, 3 explosive plays that turn into touchdowns, it makes for a long day. And I think that's where the disciplined eyes come in. We good? All right, thanks, yeah.